The Lost Colony of Roanoke, a haunting tale of America's oldest mystery. In the dark, forgotten corners of American history lies an enigma so terrifying, so baffling. It has haunted generations. For centuries, the Lost Colony of Roanoke, an entire settlement, vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a cryptic message etched into the bark of a single tree. Croatoan. What happened on that isolated island? Were they victims of starvation, slaughter, or something far more sinister and inexplicable? Tonight, you'll journey deep into a mystery where reality blurs with the unimaginable, where whispers from the past still echo, chillingly real. Stay with us if you dare. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to uncover the darkest mysteries hidden in the shadows of history. This is Dark Night Chronicles TV. Rival and ambition. In the spring of 1587, dreams of fortune and freedom carried 117 hopeful settlers across treacherous seas toward Roanoke Island. Led by Governor John White, they envisioned prosperity, opportunity, and legacy in this untouched land of promise. But from the very first step upon its shore, Roanoke whispered warnings. They failed to heed. Roanoke Island was alluring yet deceptive, a verdant paradise at first glance, lush with forests and teeming with wildlife. But beneath its surface lurked unsettling mysteries. It wasn't long before the settlers felt the chill of isolation gripping their hearts. Supplies dwindled rapidly, their crops faltered, and the once friendly native tribes became increasingly distant and wary. Amid the growing uncertainty, Eleanor Dare gave birth to her daughter, Virginia, the first English child born in the New World. Her birth symbolized hope, a beacon in the growing darkness, yet this joy was fleeting. Anxiety mounted daily as tensions between settlers and indigenous tribes escalated, mistrust festering like a hidden wound. Realizing survival hinged upon urgent resupply, John White reluctantly returned to England, promising to swiftly return with aid. As the settlers watched his ship disappear beyond the horizon, unease settled heavily over the colony. Unspoken fears whispered in the night wind. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months, and with each passing day, desperation deepened. The island, initially inviting, grew increasingly hostile. Shadows crept closer, whispers echoed louder, and the settlers began to realize that perhaps their greatest threat was not hunger or conflict, but something older, darker, and infinitely more malevolent. As uncertainty twisted into dread, the settlers faced a grim choice: wait patiently for salvation or succumb to despair and perhaps madness. Unknown to them, John White's return would be delayed far longer than anyone imagined, leaving Roanoke's fragile colony on the precipice of disaster. Stay with us, because the terror of Roanoke has barely begun to reveal itself. The Return and the Emptiness. After 3 harrowing years of waiting, John White finally returned to Roanoke Island in 1590, burdened with hope and dread in equal measure. His heart pounded as the shoreline appeared, yet something felt profoundly wrong. The island was unnaturally still, blanketed by a silence that seemed to mock his anxious anticipation. As White stepped ashore, a chill swept through him. Homes were deserted yet strangely intact, as though every settler had vanished mid-task. Personal belongings lay scattered, untouched by looters or animals, amplifying the eerie abandonment. His desperate calls for Eleanor, Virginia, and the others were met only by the mocking echoes of emptiness. In a frantic search for answers, White discovered a single, cryptic clue: the word Croatoan carved deeply into a wooden post, alongside the letters Crow etched into a nearby tree. What did it mean? Had the colonists fled peacefully to nearby Croatoan Island, or was this message a sinister warning from beyond? White's crew refused to linger, fearful of the island's inexplicable desolation and ominous atmosphere. They departed quickly, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt history forever. Rumors soon spread. Some whispered of brutal massacres at the hands of indigenous tribes. Others theorized the settlers had succumbed to starvation or disease. Yet these explanations never fully satisfied those who heard the haunting tale. With every passing generation, the story of Roanoke grew darker and more mysterious, morphing into folklore that blurred reality and nightmare. Tales of spectral figures, inexplicable disappearances, and ghostly whispers became commonplace, each encounter adding layers to Roanoke's chilling legacy. Could it be possible that something ancient and malevolent lurked on Roanoke Island, patiently waiting in the shadows to claim its next victim? Or did the settlers simply vanish into history's fog, leaving behind questions that would never be answered? Prepare yourself. As we dive deeper into the mysteries of Roanoke, you'll discover the truth might be far more terrifying than you've ever imagined. Shadows and legends, centuries past, yet the ghostly echoes of Roanoke refuse to fade. Stories transformed into legends, whispered fearfully by firelight. Those brave or foolish enough to visit the island spoke of chilling encounters that defied explanation. Roanoke, it seemed, had become a place trapped between worlds, where history mingled hauntingly with the supernatural. Locals often told of spectral figures wandering silently through mist-laden woods. Most unsettling of all was Virginia Dare, forever frozen in folklore as a tragic phantom seen lingering near the shore. Her eyes filled with sorrowful yearning. Visitors claimed to hear distant, mournful cries carried by the wind, the anguished echoes of lost settlers forever bound to the island. Curious explorers, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts were drawn inexorably to Roanoke, driven by an insatiable desire to unravel its mysteries. Many returned profoundly disturbed, their stories fraught with inexplicable phenomena, ghostly apparitions appearing and vanishing in a heartbeat, disembodied whispers that spoke of forgotten sorrows, and shadows that moved independently of any earthly source. Historical and archaeological efforts yielded tantalizing yet inconclusive clues. Fragments of pottery and primitive European tools suggested integration with native tribes, but no evidence offered definitive proof. Each discovery only heightened the intrigue and deepened the unsettling sense that the truth was deliberately obscured by something that did not wish to be found. Paranormal investigators documented bizarre experiences, cold spots materializing without warning, sudden and overwhelming feelings of dread, and shadowy entities lurking just beyond clear sight. Equipment malfunctioned mysteriously, leaving many convinced the island itself resisted intrusion, guarding its secrets fiercely. Could Roanoke truly be cursed? A place where history and horror entwined irrevocably? Were the settlers victims of a force beyond human comprehension? Their disappearance a mere footnote in a far darker, more sinister narrative? As we journey deeper, brace yourself, the island's darkest secrets are about to surface, and you may never view history the same way again. Lingering whispers. Today, Roanoke Island remains cloaked in mystery, its very air heavy with unanswered questions and lingering dread. Visitors feel the unsettling presence of something unseen, as though invisible eyes constantly watch their every move. Footsteps echo softly in the sand, where no one walks, and whispers carried on the wind recount secrets too dreadful to fully comprehend. Local accounts speak chillingly of figures glimpsed through the fog, colonial-era apparitions, staring silently from the edges of vision. Ghostly lantern lights dance among the trees, beckoning the curious and unwary deeper into the forest, only to vanish abruptly, leaving behind a chilling void. One of the island's most disturbing tales revolves around an isolated lighthouse, once home to a keeper who vanished without explanation. All that remained was his journal, obsessively filled with a single word, Croatoan, scrawled repeatedly in frantic handwriting. Had he encountered the same malevolent force that claimed the original colonists? Or had solitude driven him to madness? Modern paranormal researchers frequently visit, armed with equipment designed to detect the unseen. Their findings are invariably chilling recordings filled with unintelligible whispers, electromagnetic anomalies that spike wildly without cause, and inexplicable temperature drops in precise locations historically linked to settlers' vanished homes. Many investigators describe feeling overwhelming despair, as though touching the very fabric of Roanoke, as haunted history connects them briefly to the settlers. Final moments of desperation and fear. Some even abandon their research mid-investigation, unable to withstand the intense psychological strain imposed by the island's oppressive atmosphere. Perhaps Roanoke's settlers never truly departed. Perhaps their collective anguish etched itself permanently into the island, an endless loop of suffering replayed for eternity. Or perhaps something older, darker, and infinitely more powerful still lurks beneath the island's surface, patiently awaiting the next chapter in its grim legacy. As our exploration of Roanoke reaches its climax, be warned, some truths are better left undisturbed. But for those brave enough to continue, the answers may forever alter your perception of history, reality, and the chilling unknown. For centuries have drifted past like ghostly whispers on the wind, yet the lost colony of Roanoke remains stubbornly shrouded in mystery. It continues to haunt our imaginations, a stark reminder of humanity's fragile grip on the world we believe we understand. What became of those settlers, whose dreams turned swiftly into a nightmare from which they never awoke? Perhaps they vanished into the wilderness, merging silently with the indigenous peoples. Their identity is gradually eroded by time, or maybe they fell victim to human violence, desperate struggles, or the harsh cruelty of the land. But there remains another chilling possibility, one that speaks to our darkest fears. That something beyond human comprehension intervened, erasing their existence in a terrifying display of power. Roanoke's lingering silence offers no comfort, only an unsettling assurance that some mysteries are destined to remain forever unsolved. Forever disturbing, the island's spectral whispers continue to beckon the curious and brave, daring them to uncover secrets buried deeply, guarded fiercely. Thank you for venturing with us into this shadowy chapter of history. As you step back into your world, remember Roanoke's mysteries linger, waiting patiently for the next visitor brave enough or foolhardy enough to seek the truth. If tonight's tale captivated your imagination and sent chills down your spine, subscribe and stay tuned for more journeys into darkness here on Dark Night Chronicles TV.